eClub secretary, and so I've been, sorry, super loud.
No, there was a little feedback, sorry.
It's okay. And so I've been responsible for taking notes and giving them out to folks, and you know, I've been filing some official forms right now. I'm sure there'll be other responsibilities as we go, but that's what I've been focused on right now. So.
Super. How about you, Ian?
Well, I'm here with Steve. I think everyone can see that, though. I don't think we have any callers. And in my office here in Hilo, Hawaii, and just helping with the tech side of things and looking forward to see what happens with this Rotary.
Fantastic. I'm Kat Haber. I am calling in today from Vail, Colorado, where it's a spectacularly perfect ski day. And I'm the president and exploring this whole new virtual Rotary aspect. Shared it with a lot of TEDizens last week in Whistler, many of whom are very interested. So we'll be sending a link to include them in our next meeting, as many of them are just getting home now. And I'm thrilled to introduce everyone to Andrea Lowe, who is a former TEDx Vail women speaker, whom we met in Ashoka, it's Youth Venture Summit, and she's the co-founder and CEO of piggybacker.com, an incredible new platform for crowdsourcing funding, especially focused on youth, but it looks like you're now opening it up to all ages. Is that right, Andrea?
Yeah, and I can say a little bit more about that.
Perfect. The part you may not know about Andrea is that she was also a leader in high school for her high school Interact Rotary Club. Is that right? So you bring some wonderful experience to the table, and we're thrilled to have you share your ideas and passions with us today.
I'm not sure how this works. Do I just click the...
Ian, can you help her so she can show her presentation?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh. Oops.
Bye. Get some here.
Okay.
There we go.
Can I still see you guys when I talk or no?
I don't know.
We can see you and we can see your screen now.
Oh, okay. So I guess I'm just talking to the camera. Okay, great. So I put together a little presentation. I think Kat already knows me, so this might be interesting. But as Kat mentioned, my name is Andrea. I'm currently in San Francisco. I was born and raised in the Silicon Valley. My connection with the Rotary is that I was in the high school Rotary Club all 4 years during high school. And it was really one of the most pivotal experiences I had as a student. It really gave me a more global perspective and enabled me to do more community service. I was, I believe, vice president and then president of my Interact Club, and I had the pleasure of traveling down to Mexico with several Rotarians to donate wheelchairs that we had raised money for. So that was one of my greatest memories. And then I was also blessed enough to attend the Rotary Youth Leadership Conference, where they were training young people to become leaders. And so I guess it worked in some ways. A little bit more about my background. I studied business at UC Berkeley. And then had several years where I felt like I was an aimless adult. didn't really know what I was passionate about until I launched Piggybacker when I was 25 years old. So that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. Today I'm going to just share a little bit about Piggybacker, my startup, um, share a little bit about how it works, some of the stories, and where we're headed. And this has really become my life and my passion, my life's work in the last couple of years. And so I'd love to share that with you guys. So as Kat mentioned briefly, Piggybacker is a crowdfunding tool for teams of all ages and experience levels. We started out exclusively for kids, but really our vision and mission and what we do every day is we strive to empower young people, their teams, and their communities to take action, um, specifically by helping them access the funding that they need to reach their goals. So that's really our mission at core. A little bit about Piggybacker. We launched in 2013 nationwide, and since then have been featured in various magazines and on the news. We are a couple weeks away from helping young people in various communities raise almost $1 million through our platform, so that's been really exciting. And we've helped teams in 47 states at this point. And we're seeing just a lot of wonderful stories of people coming back. In fact, about 70% of our users are coming back every year because they are successful. So that's been a huge, huge win for us. Lastly, people have become much more successful than raising funds offline with the candy bars and lemonade sales. And the average donation through our platform is $76 per donor, which is huge when you're talking about a lot of young people from low-income areas or schools that don't have many resources. So that's something I'm very proud of. So what are some of the different types of use cases? Again, we really focus on teaching beginners how to fundraise online. And so we help anywhere from students, low-income students in the Bronx that want tuition help or summer program help, to sports teams at prep schools, to young entrepreneurs passionate about community service, technology, and activism. So we really are here just to support young people in their communities of all ages and backgrounds. But we really specialize in helping beginners get started. So a lot of people ask me, how did I even come up with this idea? What was the inspiration? What is my story? And my story is my sister, Chelsea. We have quite an age gap, but she is now 13 years old. And when she was 11 years old, she came to me and told me that she really cared about the environment and complained a lot, but didn't know what to do about it. I challenged her to take action, and she decided that she wanted to raise money for a nonprofit cause that was saving the rainforest, and she was going to do that by selling bracelets for $1. This, again, I'm a business major, and so I was really inspired to teach her to take it online and become a little bit more enterprising. And as a result, she not only brought her cause online, but learned a whole ton of really important skills like connecting with donors, sharing her story, being proactive, and learning that she, as a young person, could make a difference. That was the hugest part. And so from that experience, I was just so inspired um, to see how something as simple as raising funds for a cause could really empower a young person, that I really wanted to spread this experience to other kids across the nation. And so Piggybacker really started as me just wanting to empower kids. It wasn't a business, it wasn't a technology company at the time. It was really just, I wanted to spread this to other kids. And so as I started thinking about this idea, I did a lot of research and I realized that despite advances in technology, young people are still using some of the most basic ways to get funding for things that they care about, there really is no way for young people to access funds. And so you see, despite technology changing, people are still having the bake sale. And so at the same time in the news, I was seeing a lot around the power of crowdfunding. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. Feel free to ask me questions during. But what is crowdfunding? Crowdfunding is a recent trend where the actual definition is utilizing the power of the internet to fund projects and causes with small contributions from many people. Now, that doesn't really sound like a revolutionary new idea. People have been giving for decades, people have been giving online, even. But what's so different about now is just where technology is and where people, how used to giving people are online, that now people more than ever are feeling comfortable giving funds online, voting for what they care about by giving those funds and pooling together a lot of resources. And so some popular examples of huge successes include entrepreneurs. So there was a watch that raised $10 million from 68,000 people who wanted that watch, and they voted with dollars. Or an example of movie stars um, crowdfunding a TV show together. It got canceled, but individuals came together, over 90,000 people, and they decided to give and raised $5 million. And I was just so impressed by how this was, again, revolutionizing how entrepreneurs, celebrities, and even a lot of artists were getting funding, but so perplexed as to why it hadn't spread to young people, schools, and communities that you constantly hear about having budget cuts, lack of funds, getting their sports and art programs cut. And I just didn't understand why this wasn't spreading. After working on this on the ground for this idea for almost, I guess, even approaching 3 years, I finally understand why. The reality is that, um, especially the people that we're trying to help, the young people, their parents, their coaches, they lack resources, they lack time, they don't know how to use these internet tools. They're beginners, and unlike a lot of these nonprofits that have upwards of 10, 15 full-time staff members, or celebrities that obviously have a lot of resources, they don't know how. And so we set out to build a tool that really helps and handholds people and teaches them how to maximize their potential to raise funds from their community so that they can reach their goals. And so you'll see that the most surprising part of my journey is that it takes a long time, and it took a lot longer than I thought to build a tool that baked in a lot of the best practices that we learned on the ground, trying to train people as young as 6 years old how to fundraise. And so you'll see that it started out as a prototype on paper, and it has evolved year after year until what it is today. But really, in the beginning, it started out with just a lot of manually helping people and understanding what it is they needed, and what it is they needed help with. And it's gotten to a point finally where we've been able to bake all of those learnings into a tool that hopefully can help. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions or if I'm going okay on time. I can't see anyone's.
You're doing
So
great,
how does it
Anthony.
work? Sorry, did someone ask a question?
I was just saying you're doing great.
Okay, so how does it work? So we are the only funding platform out there that is certified to be safe for use by kids under 13. That was core to my mission, to empower people of all ages and experience levels. And when you're working with kids under 13, there's a lot of different safety concerns and online concerns. And so our whole platform is built around that. But we really focus on making it easy, fun, instructional, and safe. Um, for those of you that have done some fundraising online before, there are a lot of tools out there but most of them don't allow people under 18, let alone 13. And so we're really trying to train beginners so that they have a chance. Um, so again, through a lot of the learnings, we rolled out different things to help people, but we make it really educational. So we have different tasks based on the best practices that we learned to motivate people. When we first started, a lot of people, and young people in particular, didn't realize that they actually had to promote their fundraiser. They thought they were going to raise millions just by tweeting about their cause. And so we've taught them a lot. We've tried to instill kind of a lot of learning by doing, and so we motivate them through gamification. They can get badges as they take more actions. Um, there's a lot of team dynamics in getting people to kind of do friendly competition around each other, to post updates. We understand how people are using technology so they can even send text messages. And recently we've rolled out more and more tools to enable a team leader, which is usually an adult teacher or parent, to mobilize and teach their kids how to do it. And so here's kind of another picture of some of the things that we've built into our product. We realize that, for example, unlike a lot of these sexy product or celebrity causes out there, most of the communities are raising money for everyday things, sports causes, giving back to nonprofits, service trips. These things aren't as sexy and may not go viral, and so we really try to teach them to promote it and maximize their potential with their friends, their family, and local businesses. So you can see local businesses can get recognized when they give. People aren't selling anything, but we are teaching them how to give cool sponsorship levels so that they can keep as much of the money that they raise as possible. So, for example, you'll see in the little circle that a lot of people ask for $50, and in return, they keep people posted via email or pledge to run laps. Or some kids get really creative and even pledge to write rap songs or um, have logos of thanking donors on their t-shirts. But the idea is to really help them keep most of the money rather than have most of it go to the candy bar or cookie or something. And so a couple stories that I love to share of some of the success in our platform. One of our favorite stories is a 14-year-old girl named Amelia, used Piggybacker to raise $14,000 for her friend um, Nevia. So you'll see this arrow. The girl in the red is Amelia, and her friend Nevia is the girl in the pink. And Nevia was born with a rare form of brain cancer, and so she was in and out of hospitals her whole life. And Amelia, and I think when she was 6 years old, she had to go back into the hospital. And Amelia, as her friend, decided that she wanted to help her friend by raising money to help the family with a lot of the costs. And that is just so inspiring on so many levels to see a young person care so much for a friend and then raise so much money for such a wonderful cause. And so it was truly inspiring to enable such a wonderful cause. A couple other stories.
Andrea, could I offer just as a moment?
Sure.
Could you write down this name and forward it to Amelia? Jimmy Lin, JIMMYLIN. He is a TED fellow, and he's using the TOMS model 1-for-1. He is launching a private and nonprofit enterprises, specialized cancer treatments that help fund childhood rare diseases.
Wow.
There might be a link for Amelia that might support her friend further.
Yeah, I will reach out to you for his contact. I think he's a Rotary. He's a We Rotary member, right?
No, he's not,
Oh,
but you
okay.
can find him on Facebook.
Got it. Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And then here I put some quotes from some of the students that are currently fundraising on our platform today, and every time I read what they write, I'm just also so touched. But for example, Mario here says that he's a high school junior. He's in love with the field of engineering, and with engineering, you're able to develop different products which will bring positive changes to the world. And his dream is to become an engineer, and he's currently raising money so that he can attend a summer program that'll train him to become an engineer. And he comes from kind of a lower income background in the Bronx. And so you see just a lot of really inspiring young people who really want to make a difference. Or Grace, for example, who is currently on Piggybacker trying to raise money for um, her sister school in Africa. And when asked why she's fundraising, she says, "This matters to me because I want to live beyond myself. I'm incredibly privileged to attend the high school where I receive such an exceptional education. I invite people to think about children around the globe who are faced with war, extreme poverty, health threats, environmental challenges, gender inequality, who it makes it impossible for them to receive any kind of education. We are so fortunate." You just see some of it's just surprising to see these words come out of a lot of young people's mouths, but they really care, and we're trying to enable that for them. So we're really at core building a tool that hopefully trains the next generation of philanthropists, entrepreneurs, and leaders. So what's next for us? We are really trying to, now that we're almost going to hit the 1 million mark, we're trying to help communities raise even more and help teams in need. We also hope to become a self-sustaining organization in the next year or two. We are a for-profit social enterprise, and nothing would make me more proud to know that we can also self-sustain as we grow. And then really continue to build out our tool so that it really makes it almost brainless and effortless for anybody, regardless of their age, regardless of their background, regardless of their socioeconomic status, to have the potential to get the funding they need. And then my largest dream is to go global. Currently, it is in the U.S. So what do we need help with? Of course, we're always looking for people to help spread the word to teens and communities and young people that need help, from people doing everyday things like sports to young people like Amelia who want to make a difference. We're here just to support the dreams of all young people. And we know that once they take that first step and learn that they can make a difference, great things happen thereafter. We're looking for people that want to partner, that might benefit from the tool that we're building. We're always looking for funding for our young people in the form of matching grants, or to fund our own operations. And you can learn more about us by visiting our website, piggyback.org.
Fantastic. Lisa, questions for Andrea?
No, wow, Andrea, that's really amazing what you've accomplished. And there's actually, I'm sure it feels long for you, but that's a relatively short period of time that you've accomplished a lot. And I was particularly struck by the amount of, it sounds like you did a lot of groundwork, so a lot of kind of one-on-one educating people. This is how you use it. This is how, this is where it can get you. But, like you said, there's a lot of times I find that too when I'm working with my clients, is that breakdown of, this is a great idea, but I have no idea how to use it. Did you find that as well?
You broke up a little bit at the end, but what I am summarizing, you're asking if it took a lot more work than I expected, and is that your question?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So being in the Silicon Valley has been an interesting dynamic as well because here people are always being like fast, 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 like you're gonna get 16 million users overnight or whatnot. And a lot of the most difficult problems are not that quick to solve, obviously. If it was easy, it'd probably exist already. So um, yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things, 2 to 3 years is definitely not long. But I'm impatient and I want to solve problems quickly. And so
Absolutely.
I didn't expect it to be so hard on many levels. If you look at my TED Talk, the first version of my website, nobody even wanted to use. And I was like, who am I trying to help if no one wants to use it? Um, so there are just a lot of different moments where um, things like that happen. But we've gotten it to a point finally where people, in the beginning, when people were using our site, we didn't have most of the features and people weren't even raising any money. And now finally, they're becoming more successful. So every day we're trying to improve.
Well,
Fantastic.
it's impressive what you've accomplished.
Thank you.
Steve?
You know, this um, is like a tool. If it's a way for kids to raise money, and and you bring Rotary in as a partner, the Rotary works with Interact. Um, the club sponsor a youth club in a high school called Interact, and as with Ashoka, these are this kind of piggybacker fundraising could be a way that they raise money. And it's not just one club, but if it could be networked to where many clubs are aware of this opportunity, it's one way of spreading. I mean, it's a win-win. It helps Interact to raise money. It helps Piggybacker to scale up. I'm just wondering how that could be brought together. As with Ashoka, many youth have um, community service projects, but Ashoka tries to make it entrepreneurial to where making money you're doing some social good. Those ideas seem to be important part of the mix that Interact clubs could use, to expand what they do. Instead of just listening to Rotarians suggest things, they can take that and do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering how we get it into the hands of a lot of clubs um, and their interest to expand it. It's almost like a partnership with Rotary on a bigger scale. And let me think about that. It would be a very interesting and I think for Interact clubs. Have you dealt with any Rotary Interact clubs, Andrea?
So when I first started, I went back to my high school and I tried to recruit everyone I knew, and we did interact, no pun intended, interact with the local Interact club, and they thought about using Piggybacker because their big cause was fundraising for I think it was blindness. That was they always have an annual um, um, cause. And so we've seen a variety of clubs come on board. We haven't specifically targeted Interact clubs since then, but that's definitely an area somewhere that we should consider more.
Steve, what I can tell you is that kids from Alaska who were attending the 10th World Wilderness Congress used Andrea's platform, piggybacker.com, very successfully. And there's some of the same kids that you know who attended the Rotary Global Peace Forum in Honolulu last January. So we do have an experience of success using Andrea's platform. What I love about it is she just doesn't put it up there. She really does a masterful job of teaching kids the steps of building a successful fundraising online crowdsourced project. So I speak very highly of it, Andrea, and every chance I get to point people to your site, I do.
Thank you.
Ian?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. So I know that crowdfunding is pretty popular these days. There's lots of crowdfunding websites out there, but it seems to me that you have a very specific market as you're the only one. Did I hear that right? You're the only one that is under 18? Is that
We're the only one that is certified to be safe for use by kids under 13. When you work with kids under 13, there's different privacy rules around what kind of information you can or can't collect. And so we've built the whole platform really around that. And that's also incredibly important for people as they think about crowdfunding in schools. So a lot of schools and high school students and middle schools even choose us because obviously social media and safety is a huge concern. But we're really, again, we've worked with enough young people and understand the dynamics that we're really focused on the niche of helping beginners. And so there are quite a bit of funding tools out there. Most of them are very, very expensive for kind of profits, or they are wonderful platforms where people who know what they're doing can really raise a lot of funds. But what we've seen is with these everyday communities, they don't have those resources, and that's what we've been trying to.
Well, I think it's awesome. I think it's a great space to be in where the crowdfunding world is blowing up, but if you can differentiate yourself the way you're doing and really cater towards the beginner and the kids, it's awesome. When's the mobile app coming out?
That depends on if we get funding to do that, but that's not in the roadmap right now, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I think it's awesome what you're doing, and yeah, I mean, everything takes time, definitely. But you've come a long way in a short amount of.
Ian,
Andrea, are you in more than one country?
Sorry?
Are you in other countries?
No, we are currently only in the US, but one of my goals is to go global, and probably it would start in Canada and trickle into other countries, but no, we're not currently global yet.
Andrea, if it works in your budget, I might recommend that you consider applying to attend TED Active next year.
Oh, wow.
I think the cost is around 3,500, something 4,000, I'm not quite sure. But if you're thinking about going into Canada, the event will be in Vancouver and Whistler. TED Active will be in Whistler, and that will give you, I think, maybe an interesting foothold and access to a lot of technical people and great ideas and change makers. And it might be a way of kind of rolling out to a higher level
Got it.
platform. Ian, what's the cost of a mobile app development?
I guarantee you that she knows more than I would when it comes to that, because it's just like building a home. They're all different. It really depends on what you want to build into it and how much functionality you got to build into it. She's come a long way already with design and branding and things of that nature. So I can't imagine and development and programming. I can't imagine it being a huge step for her to go that route, but it's definitely still a big step. She's taken a lot of the first initial steps, which are hard. So anyway, again, I guarantee you she's already looked into that and probably knows better than I would of what it's going to take to execute something like that at this stage. Am I right?
Yeah, that's on our wish list.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not cheap to build mobile apps. Good software engineers are probably the highest paid first to date, more than any of. I mean, she's from the Silicon Valley area, so you know that what a good software engineer goes for and how they solicit them like they're almost like professional basketball players coming out of college. They buy them cars, and so it's a crazy field that is very short on good talent, and the talent gets sucked up quick. It's changing. The costs are coming down as more and more software engineers are graduating and coming and hitting the market. But it's definitely a very pricey endeavor building an app, especially when you have the amount of functionality you've built into what you got going on. So yeah, wish list, I can see that.
Would you be willing to post on Facebook under today's the day when we put in there about your LinkedIn profile? Would you post your wish list for Piggybacker there? So if there are other members that may be able to assist you in advancing any of that, we might be able to be helpful.
Sure.
I know this is kind of contrary to the typical conversation that happens in a Rotary Club. Often in a real Rotary Club, what I understand is that you actually get fined when you speak about your own business. But in the early stages of our club, because this is the only way we can discover who we are and what is the community that we're creating, we're actually highlighting who each of us is and what it is that we're passionate about and what we need to bring our projects forward, so that the more successful we are individually, collectively as a network, as we Rotarians, we can have a greater global impact. So fabulous job, Andrea. We loved hearing about
the business part. Oops.
No. For us, we're a little bit different here, right? Steve,
Yeah.
would you say that's right?
Well, yes, we are different, but it's not uncommon that all new members are allowed to talk about their business, just for the reason you stated, Kat, so we get to know the person and what they do. Rotarians trust each other in business, and it's also a great way for business networking, so that's not uncommon. It's so they're allowed one vocational talk, and sometimes more than that. But with enough members, it'll keep us busy for some time.
Fantastic, Andrea. Well, let's turn to a little bit about our Rotary business. And Steve, you and Andrea had a wonderful conversation on Sunday. And there were 6 points that I'd like to just bring up in our last part of our meeting here today. And just generally speaking, they are a clear mission statement, meeting physically once a year, eClub leaders, officers taking the lead, and attracting new members. Number 5, a club project that all members can participate in. And then number 6, some guidance for speakers who will be presenting. So let's go ahead and start and give a couple of minutes to each one of these. And I'll leave it to you, Steve and Andrea, to kind of fill us in on what you were thinking. And then maybe we can post on our Facebook page and invite other members to kind of flesh out their thoughts about this. But I think they're great ideas. Is that good for you, Steve and Andrea?
Yeah.
Super. So how about starting with a clear mission statement?
Well, I think the mission statement is stated, but not very clearly, and that gets back
Yes?
all the
We
time.
can't hear you, Steve.
Go ahead.
And a mission statement would be one of them. The time and place of our meetings, there should be a box where somebody can instantly see that different things need to be always before us. Facebook page. But our mission statement, I thought I'd try to put on paper and circulate it among us to come up with the inspiration that came out of the Peace Forum. So we call ourselves eClub. Is it making a more peaceful world, or that is the intent for our members to be focused on things that will make the world more peaceful. And of course, that could be in so many different forms. What Andrea talked about is a very good example of how young people can be empowered to raise money for community service projects. That certainly is in line with our goals. So that's the broad scope of what we are about, and how we implement that is up for further discussion. But that statement I'd like to pass around, and maybe we can all find a good way to express it so that prospective new members know what to expect when they join us. They're not just joining any club, they're joining a club of doers, people who are doing things, people who are young or young at heart, who want to use the latest technology to pursue their goals. You want to add to that, Kat?
Well, how about you, Andrea? And then each of us can go around and just give our 2 cents, and we'll invite others as well. Andrea, what would you like to see in our mission statement?
I told Steve this. I think I'm still very new to the club, and I don't really know what to expect, and so I'm looking for a little bit more leadership in this respect.
Okay. All right. Lisa, how about you?
You know, that we've got lots of kind of iterations of it. For me, it's more about kind of pulling it together and saying, you know, this is what we're focused on. We could be focused in a lot of directions. There's, you know, kind of the world is our oyster, so to speak. And I think that, you know, in order for us to really have this club be successful, we have to be able to clearly articulate which way we're going. And so, you know, for me, it's more of pulling it together down into a, okay, here's where we're focused. Because we can't focus everywhere.
Okay, so if you had a magic wand, Lisa and Andrea, and you could paint the picture of what we Rotary's mission statement was, what is it inside of you that would make it valuable to invest your time in such an endeavor? Let me preface it by saying, for me, it would be the real possibility of scaling out and networking on a global scale, solutions that I see that come along either through other networks that I'm involved in or ventures that I'm involved in, so that we Rotary becomes kind of a bridge between what is and what could be by leveraging those global clubs, the over 1 million community leaders, so that if we find a solution in one community, we can scale it out. So for me, the key things are scaling, leveraging, bridging, connecting, impact.
You know, I agree with you, and I like the way that all sounds, but to me, I think some of it has to be, we can't do everything, so we have to have a focus too. I mean, if our only focus is to be a bridge, then I think we run the risk of losing ourselves. And so for me, I would like us to say, okay, our club is focused on, we're an extension of the Peace Forum, if you will, and so our club is focused on, supporting peace projects throughout the world or whatever that is, but at least we have some kind of a mission and a focus. Otherwise, I think I'm concerned we lose ourselves a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anybody else? Ian, Steve? Okay.
Well, I comment briefly to that. I think it's all good. I like where everybody's going. For me, my background is deal with good ideas and bad ideas are not to take anything away from any ideas, but in my opinion, they're a dime a dozen. Anybody can come up with the execution and the organization of it that makes it a successful endeavor or not. So I think in these early stages of what we're doing here, all these ideas are great, but they're not going to get us. We have some organization and planning and some specific priorities set of what needs to be done and execute them. Because at this point in time, we all understand what we want to do and what our visions are, whether or not they're exactly the same or maybe a little bit different. But if we're not able to project that in some sort of way via any other outlets, then it's just going to be the same numbers coming back every time because nobody else is going to see that we're seeing. At least it's kind of my take on it right now. So, we've been at this for a little while. I'd love to see priorities made and established in some clear-cut direction of what needs to be done to be a global networking powerhouse or execute some great global peace projects or things of that nature that is our vision, everybody's vision for this club, but how are we going to do that? And I think the next big step really is them all on board to join us.
Ian, would you repeat that last phrase you dropped out?
Gosh, I remember. I was just saying, I think I'd love to see us have some clear-cut agendas and priorities set aside so we can accomplish those global networking goals and those global peace project ideas that we're trying to do so we can get more members to join us.
Okay. Welcome, Eric. It's great to have you here. You get 60 seconds to say who you are, where you're calling from, and we're actually winding up the call. We started a while back, but it's good to see you here.
Well, hi to someone new. I believe there is someone new. The rest of you know me, but I'm proud to be a founding charter member of Rotary. I'm loving how it's been coming together. I apologize for missing the last meeting and also for last two, and also for being late on this one. It's been very busy. Briefly, forgive me if I reiterate something that's already been said, but if we're discussing mission and or vision statements, I would just like to offer that, in my view, a vision statement is the objective we strive for. A mission statement is more aligned with how we get there, what values, what our execution may be. That's how I would separate the two very briefly. I loved what you had to share about it, Kat, especially use of action words like bridging. I use that in my business plans. things like that about, how are we going to get to the ultimate objective and what is that objective? So that's input at this very late stage, and forgive me if it's redundant.
No, that's great. Thank you very much, Eric. So we, of course, have more than we can get to today. So if it's all right with all of you, it might be useful to just post on our Facebook page the 6 points that are remaining, Andrea, and then invite everyone to comment on those. Steve, is there anything urgently pressing as far as the timeline that we need to accomplish?
No, I don't think there's any urgency in the time.
Okay. What I can report out to everyone is that Steve is going to be working on the articles and the bylaws, and Lisa's going to be working on the 501c4 and the EIN number. So there are some structural things that are starting to form around this. So that's good news. Anything else, Ian, that you wanted?
When do we meet again, Kat?
Okay, so the way the structure is so far is that every other week we would have one of our meetings, a go-to meeting in like this today, and then in the off meetings we would invite members to watch a TED Talk and comment on it. That's our initial idea. We're making this up as we go along, so if people have other ideas that you think would be more useful, now's a good time to bring it up and suggest them.
Okay, Kat, last meeting,
Yes.
but if you have a TED Talk on some area such as literacy or poverty, those are.
Steve, could you restate that?
The
last part is dropping off.
Okay. I can add questions to the TED Talk to make it Rotary content.
Okay, that would be great.
So let me know what you want for next week, and I'll work on it.
Okay, fantastic. And then also, everyone, you should know that the officers, Lisa is the secretary, Steve is the treasurer, I'm the president, and Andrea, are you willing to be the vice president slash as we kind of make this up? I know the roles aren't yet specifically defined, but I would love to have you be number 1 and 2 when that time comes, if you're willing.
I sent Steve a message about this, but we I think at this moment I have a lot going on, but I would be happy to reconsider in a couple months.
Okay, great. Super. And Eric, we've kind of been passing messages back and forth. We'd love to invite you to take the lead on membership. Would you be willing to do that? Oops, we're not hearing you, Eric. Still not hearing you.
Background noise out. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I've done membership direction twice for the Inside Edge Foundation for Education at UCI, as well as he's back in college for my fraternity. So, but yes, if you need me to step up and help out, I'll do the best I can, with a caveat that that everybody's bandwidth, of course, is very little. Do the very best I can to do whatever you need me to do. So
super.
Sure.
I'm
seems to be my karma.
It's your extroverted friendliness that makes it easy to do. I'm glad to work with you on that, Eric, and I have several names that we can follow up with who were at TED last week. So
okay.
Glad to develop that with you.
On our Facebook page, I invited several people, 3 of whom joined via the page. I think we need to more specifically reach directly out to them. One of whom is in Hilo, Hawaii. So I thought that was kind of cool. And he's Dr. Mark Kimura, and he's part of the. I don't know. He's under a grant there as a he's not a professor, but he's a PhD grad student there doing postgraduate work under a grant. Brilliant guy. Has like 2 masters, 2 PhDs. Amazing. Anyway, I think he'd be a fantastic asset, and I think he'd be very interested in joining if we can make a, he obviously was interested enough to accept the invitation to join the Facebook page, which he normally would not do if he didn't have some level of interest. So.
Fantastic. I had a feeling you'd be the right person for this job, Eric. Great.
Eric,
Right.
if you would send me a phone number or email contact, I will contact him. Maybe we'll get to.
Okay. I should be. I think I should have everyone's email IDs here. But
Okay.
Let me
I'll look it up.
Certain of that, just to make sure. Let me go into my contacts here.
Okay, so what might be helpful is if I can post those 6 different points, Steve and Andrea, that you talked about on our Facebook page as separate posts. I invite all of us to go there and have a conversation. These posts will be mostly about the structure. And Steve, it would be helpful if you could work back from May 5th on a timeline so we know that we're hitting milestones to get all of the boxes checked off so that we can in fact become either a charter or a provisional club by May 5th.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you, everyone.
Steve, before you go, I don't have any contact info for you. I can't